to Atlantic Ocean. Upon me hills, to country. To educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah. Focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah, 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 yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday, it's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, foreign affairs, reliable information. Talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Fire, 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 run, run, run. All the houses are burning, run, run, run. It's a great big fire, run, run, run. Who remember that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. The Capitol building has burned down. What happened? Who's responsible for this? Who or what is responsible, let me say. And what next? We want to welcome all of you to this special edition of Between the Headlines. Let me welcome the lawyer's daughter and the champion's mother, Glennie James Jr. Glennie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be back.
Thank you. Let me also welcome the unapologetic and unabashed citizen, Mr. Jerome Gilman. He's also the host of On Point. Welcome, Mr. Gilman.
Thank you very much for being here with my favorite lady, Glennie. It's a Basel thing. Thank you.
That's it.
Let me also welcome the neo-progressive commentator, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me tonight. And hi to all my fellow panelists and to our viewers out there. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. Sad, but we're here. Thank God.
Let me also welcome Mr. Jimmy Ismail, who's joining us from the nation's capital. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you for inviting me, Dennis. It's a sobering moment, and I look forward to discussing the elements.
Last and definitely not the least is FOL political analyst and the product of Waplo Institute from Kilipo, Kanweken in River G County, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. Welcome, Mr. Sharif.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
And we are waiting our governance advisor because it looks like governance is not looking good.
So
let me welcome the governance ways, the man we turn to when it's all governance. Mr. Ahmed Sharif is also the executive director of GJI. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. I don't know if I can say I'm happy to be here. It's really a somber occasion tonight, but we have to participate and contribute to the public square, and the things are happening back home.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is a Wednesday night and is Between the Headlines right here on Focus on Liberia. Well, we all saw the pictures and the videos this morning. The Capitol building was on fire. I want to go around the room now. Just your take. What's your feeling when you saw the fire this morning? And then when you saw the pictures after everything was said and done, and you look at the fire and everything else, I had the pictures. Anytime I click on it, my heart is burning. Jimmy, let's go around the room for 50 seconds each. What's your original feeling towards what we saw this morning?
Wow, when I saw the incendiary, I could only think of how we managed during the war. I thought immediately how people were motivated to burn down structures as if it didn't belong to them. You know, I saw this in 1980. I saw this thing in more in 1990. We worked hard to erect these structures, and the mere fact that we don't regard them as something that we should keep or that's something that belongs to us, it means that the people are still do not feel part of the fabric of Liberia, because when you know you're a part of the fabric, you will not destroy it. So there is still a lingering separation of the people from the love and patriotism of Liberia. It's perpetuated, and we have not moved the needle in bringing everybody in. It's unfortunate.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, your initial reaction to the fire?
No, Dennis, it was about, I think, 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. my time when I usually I would just look at my phone in the middle of the night and I just go to Facebook to see what's happening in Liberia, especially with the protest from yesterday. And then I saw the fire engulfing the building. And one of the things that came to my mind was when I was in the corporate office of Amazon in Phoenix, Arizona, some months back, to execute some duties there at the time. I served as one of those who would be responsible for in the corporate building. There's huge property. If there's a fire event, then you're responsible to remain composed and guide your fellow workers and your employees from the building to the outside where you guys have to assemble. And my initial response on this show is that when I saw President Bouazizi respond to the fire incident this morning when he visited the mansion, I was very disheartened because I feel he was not composed, and that has led to a lot of confusion in the country. And we should not presume anything has happened as a result of someone or something else until the investigation can prove. And I think that's why I'm going to be focusing my focus tonight.
Thank you. Glendy, your initial reaction?
I was shocked. I think I woke up like around 6 and of course saw the news. I think someone had texted me and I saw the text. I felt history crumble because there's so much history that was in that building with so many of us. My father worked there. I visited there several times. Being at LU, I constantly went there for lunch money to my dad and other stuff. So it was really sad to see, very pathetic to see such a thing happen today in the country. And just to watch it burning, it led you to the space of what happened. How did we get here? What's so wrong in this country that we have not been able to make it right? So it's very troubling to see what occurred today.
Mohammed?
Yeah, so I wish we were here talking about nice things, but it's a somber moment for sure. This moment, but what you see, Dennis, with the burning down of the building, what is even more troubling than burning down the building is the step-by-step progress, the step-by-step measures to destroy our democracy. This rotten democracy now is been destroyed. So forget the building. This democracy has been destroyed. So the question is, why? Why is our democracy being destroyed in this manner? So when the investigators go to work, they must investigate who did it, why, and how. Because all parties have interest. The government has interest in creating something like this, to pin the opposition dark, to incarcerate members of the opposition. We saw this with the Flazameton, Lieutenant Colonel Moses MMD Flazameton situation. We've seen this before. We've seen this picture before. Who did it? So you're not going to stop with the opposition. I'm sorry. You cannot just question the opposition. Lastly, since you gave us 59 minutes, under a minute, the other thing is that people must be allowed to protest. So you do not suppress the legitimate anger, the legitimate frustration of the people. That's a recipe for chaos and confusion, and there were steps taken that day to suppress that protest. So this is the way I look at this. And I don't care what the die-hard and on principle Unity Party partisans say about me. They can say whatever. And if they say anything, then they are part of the problem as well.
Thank you. Jerome.
Unfortunately, I was in Liberia in March, and I took a state representative with me from Tallahassee, and we visited a few lawmakers in the building. When you leave the capital from Tallahassee and you go to our capital, if you don't leave embarrassed, then something is wrong with you. The lady asked to use the restroom. This is the new building where the Chinese have built. And you look at the flimsy work that they did in that building. And you go into the rotundo and you see the carpet all off the floor. I mean, everything is loose. The bathroom not working, nothing is working. And then a few weeks ago, you saw Sir Joseph's home got burned. $1 million home got burned to the ground. The speaker's house got burned to the ground. All this, I'm saying it could be possible that the flimsy work, those cheap Chinese material that we are using, is causing us moving from 110 vote to 240. That is a major deviation. And then on the other hand, when you have a protest where every national news and international news outlet, the front pages have bloody pictures all over the place. One can be suspicious and say, how do you change that narrative? When the U.S. Embassy condemns the violence, ECOWAS, everybody is condemning it. The next day, how do you change that narrative? Some people could say, this is exactly what the government wants, change the narrative. And not only that, but go and start arresting the opposition for saying, someone said down the line that they were going to burn the building. So they're arresting the opposition. Just like Mr. Sherry said, we go after opposition and start doing it, we're making even more.
Thank you. Mr. Salif, your initial reaction to the fire.
Thank you, Dennis. It's difficult to separate the oil from the water when you dump oil on top of the water. They don't commingle, but it still can be tough to separate it. And we have to put this in context. First of all, my initial reaction was, I was very sad. I was very sad. Look, I'm usually someone who doesn't just jump into a conclusion. I like to look at the facts. I like to gather evidence. I like to make sure I completely understand the circumstances and I can connect and I can fully be accountable to myself when I speak to an issue. But given the context in which we're operating now, with this speakership battle, with people making inflammatory, threatening statements, some saying they'll burn stuff down, they'll burn this down, and also just looking at Ms. Rue and the level of rent-seeking behavior that has stirred all of this up. People really fighting just for control of resources in that place. And so someone thinks it may have been electrical fault somewhere because we're seeing fires everywhere, or it was really intentional and all of that. It all comes down to one thing. It comes down to failure and mindset of people just to do things for self-aggrandizing rather than for state, rather than state building, nation building. So that really saddened me. And I questioned myself, who are we? What do we really want? What kind of people are we? Okay, without really knowing all the facts, just this is what I saw on social media. People texted me. I started texting people. The basic facts I got are just, it just made me sad. Really, it really made me sad. And my suspicion is, and I am still suspicious of the fact, LGJI, the statement we posted on our page on LinkedIn and Facebook, we pointed to what looks like an arsenic attack on the Capitol building. That's really just everything, the context and the recent events that have culminated into today. That was the conclusion that we reached. I mean, again, you can say we didn't have all the evidence, but it's just one that really saddens me, and that I see the country is going towards the abyss.
Indeed, we have Mr. You saw the pictures, and then Mr. Salif talked about series of events. I want to show you some of the events, and that's what things that happened. Some time ago, there was in the Capitol building, Representative Safoko felt that they needed to investigate and bring some people who had something to do with LPRC for investigation. And he believed the speaker from his own party cheated them. So he was angry about that. And he made these comments. Take a listen.
Yes, if we cannot prioritize the Liberian people interests, for which we were sent here from the 73 districts, we should burn that session.
Are you serious? Are you going to
I'm very serious about it.
To burn down?
I'm telling you that if the Liberian people, JFK got issue, even our staff force at Capitol building, there is no bus to take them home. There is no bus to bring them. There is no health protection for them. No insurance here for them. Let's look at JFK. Let's look at Redemption Hospital. Let's look at the teachers. Are we looking at the University of Liberia? The children don't have chairs to sit in at the University of Liberia. Let's look at public schools, Tottenham, and other public schools in Liberia. So for that, take into consideration.
For that reason, your police are corrupt. They are a bunch of nickel-pools. So you will burn down.
I'm telling you that we will burn down this section if these people don't work for the Liberian people.
What difference would have made if the speaker were actually when a special committee?
We will follow the process like we did. You saw.
Recently, just yesterday, we had riot. And so before that, we have this old speaker brouhaha, and all of us are aware we've been discussing it. So it culminated into a protest yesterday. And you could see on Capitol Hill. That was just yesterday. That was yesterday. Today, we have this. Mr. Salif, if you look at the events and you look at everything that has happened, why do you think this is happening? What's responsible for this? I want us to discuss the what.
Yeah, the why, is really what we ought to be answering as a people, as a country. When one is patriotic, one respects one's country, and one is loyal to one's country, and really wants to build one's country. Right? This is beyond self. It's something larger than self. That's the kind of mentality that countries that have developed have had, and as a result have developed institutions. Then it's all the time on this show I talk about institutions, lack of institutionalism, and inclusive extractive institutions. If you borrow from Acemoglu and Robinson, right? You look next door, Ivory Coast, for instance. When the French colonizers left, what did Ophir-Bonnier do? He really brought his people together in an inclusive way, different tribes, different religions, from different regions, in a system of government. It wasn't perfect. And then they preserved the colonial legacy in terms of infrastructure, things that they learned from the French. And they didn't divorce from the French, knowing fully the French was still exploiting them up until very recently, actually, where the CFA franc was back on the French currency and the Central Bank of France, all of that. But look at the pace at which they're moving. People always say, you guys like to compare countries. It's about institutions that you build. If you choose to build inclusive economic institutions, political institutions, and by institutions, we're talking about the kind of constitution and laws that you enact, and whether they're inclusive, whether you respect them, and how you behave. It creates a mindset, right? Last week, I told you, Dennis, I spoke to a Kenyan young person who said to me, I've been busy building my country. I'm busy building a nation. That's why I made a phone call. That's the mentality I'm talking about. And then you look at us, where Cote d'Ivoire is exporting electricity to Liberia, to Burkina, to Ghana, and so on. There are many examples one could look at that creates an environment, a mindset. Ours, unfortunately, is one where 99% of the people, their biggest ambition is to live off of the government, to live off of public funds, and to loot it at that. Okay, it's not really necessary through honest work. Everybody wants to be a politician. Why? Because it makes you rich overnight. As a result, people don't invest in a lot of things to give them, different lifestyles, so that they can afford themselves to grow the private sector. So the why really is failure to cultivate a mindset that directs us towards institutions that will respect, that will lead to growth, that will help to build a country. Therefore, people are in it for themselves, about themselves. It's not about institutions, it's not about system, it's about self. It's not about country.
Thank you. We'll come to who did it or who the speculative people. What really is responsible for this, Grandy? Why is this happening?
So I think Mr. Salif talked a little bit about it. I want to agree, because if we build institutions and we believe in them, then we will do away with divisiveness. I think we are where we are because there's so much about partisan politics, what group I'm for, what group I belong to, so that in the midst of everything, we lose track of the country, Liberia, and what Liberia needs. So there's two sides. I'm for this side, you're for this side. Liberia's in the middle. We're not coming together to work for Liberia. We're pushing further away from this common denominator that we have to help Liberia. And that's the problem. We're not at a place where I am free to give my honest opinion and be allowed to speak as I want, because someone has a problem with what I'm going to say. And so you can't build institutions when all of us don't have that we don't have the camaraderie to say we want Liberia to do better, and this is what we want, and we're going to work towards it. It's going to be difficult. So this is where we are, because we are divided in our mindset each group is purporting that they know what Liberia needs, and no one wants to come together to help build the country. And so Liberia is left alone. And this is what we have, putting one another and going out against one another.
Glennie, you said, for Liberia to be better. Do we have, as a people, have that idea of what better is? Or everyone has his own definition of better?
I think everyone probably do have their own explanation of what better is, because we've gone to a place where you know more than me, and I don't want to learn from you. So I want to be able to see what I can do to show you that I know more than you. So I'm not going to take your knowledge. I'm not going to accommodate what you know so that we can grow together. It's going to be what Dennis knows. And then too, Dennis, who knows, maybe I'm not going to talk to Glenda because she doesn't know what I know. So when we're all on the same level and trying to say Liberia is that common denominator that we have to help our country, then we can understand what we need to rebuild Liberia. But where we are now, it's going to be difficult. And this has happened time over time, and this is not starting today. We've built upon where we are today with being divisive. And so it's going to be difficult to help that Liberia that needs all of us to come together.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson.
Thank you, Dennis John. Thanks for having me. I'm pleased today. Sam Waller is in agreement with me from last night. It looked like I've helped him to sway his opinion. Impunity, by-election results, and sycophancy hurting us today. But I don't want to be very quick to blame anyone for the fire incident. Like I said, in 2006, I was at the ELW Junction, July 26, on the 159th celebration of our independence, when official vehicles are flying past us at the ELW Junction to the RIA. Dignitaries are leaving the country after our celebration was cut short because of fire incidents at the executive mansion. All right, people were hasty, and accusations were flying back and forth because we had just come out of elections, and only to find out by 2009, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 years later, before it was fully established that it was electrical fault that caused that fire, and that was disclosed to us. For us to believe it, it had to be disclosed by VOA, Voice of America. People could believe it that it was true. Voice of America had to go look it up. And Voice of America, October 2009, you see the release on that. Then before we believed as Liberians that it came from America, that was electrical fault, so now it was an electrical problem. So again, I would say this: we cannot blame anyone. We cannot presume what the situation is. Let us wait for an investigation. If I were President Boyka today, you always talk about a solution here. I would ask him to even call on any country, sisterly country, that has the sophistication to conduct an independent, non-political investigation, forensic investigation of that incident. And then I'll move on now to the other point that you raised, Dennis. So if for any reason it will be someone responsible, and then I would say I want to look at where I stump my toe, not where I fall. June Dopu will sing that in song. Don't look at the place you fall. Look at the place you stump your toes. Glennie said it all. We have a repressive system right now. We thought government was bad off, but President Boyka is a repressive regime, suppressive and repressive regime. And when you do these things, the reason why democracy calls for freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech is because the human tendency to become violent is very obvious when people are not allowed to express themselves freely. When they cannot vent, when they cannot rant verbally, they resort to dubious means. So now we have a country, for any presumptive reason, President Boyka thinks that hooligans, like he insulted all of us today on international wires, that we are all hooligans because maybe we don't want to cause fire. Whoever we are hooligans. And then we should go to the rule of law. We have issue whether you have undermined the rule of law. You cannot undermine the rule of law, bring your people into subjection, and then you undermine the people from going to speak to the representatives, and then the building catch on fire tomorrow. Say who then they put it wrong for burning it. You know,
Thank you.
I think it's failure in leadership. And if there's
Thank you.
anyone responsible, I totally condemn it. No matter what the reason for you doing it, I condemn it. But I think failed leadership is the cause for our problem today.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. The entire country, and I'm coming to the who now. The entire country is very quick to point that this was actually arson. Somebody set the fire. I mean, we have had areas where the last time there was fire, they said it was faulty wiring from the air conditioner or something, right? This one, we saw fire at the Speaker's house, Speaker Kofa's house, fire at Thomas Fowler house, and fire all over the place. Why do people think this one, somebody did it?
Well, you know, I would like to be as political as I can be, but for today, I would want to be managerial. I just pulled up my budget. My secretary left this on my desk. For maintenance of my office building, they put $11,000 there for maintenance. They got even down to the boys' bathroom, girls' bathroom, electrical, chemical, you name it, mop. This is a vision for the next fiscal year 2025. Everything is mapped out, maintenance. You go to Liberia, not all the budget, everything we have talked about. Not once have I heard that this is the budget for the executive mansion maintenance, electrical, plumbing, painting, mold prevention, nothing. So we build beautiful buildings with no maintenance plan, and it decays. Then when something like that happens, like I just told you, I was there in March. Not only was it embarrassing, but you could see that this thing was so flimsy. And it was just a matter of time before a disaster strikes. Now, instead of us going inward and doing this sophisticated investigation and say, let's start from point B or point A, so we can blame ourselves. When was the last time we did electrical maintenance? When was the last time we did everything? Nobody is about to do that. The easiest way out is to politicize it and say, some guy said he was going to burn down Monrovia. Y'all go arrest him, just like the wish people used to do. You go to the village and say, my child died. And some guy come and say that Muhammad is a witch trap. You just jump on him and tie him. That's why.
I had a dream. He gave me cow skin in my sleep.
That's correct. And that is it. Nobody talking about when was the last time we did complete comprehensive analysis on this building. Nothing. We don't know what happened, but now, because for the president himself, the father of the land, to have come out, I thought he would have said, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, calm down. We are going to get to the bottom of this. If we don't have the sophistication, we will appeal to our partners to help us get to the bottom. He put kerosene and gas on the flame here and say they did it. And
we'll come to the president.
Yeah, it just started. But I think this may not have been an arson. Is what is the easiest way out. This is completely let go. I mean, all the government buildings, you go out there, you can see they are neglected. There's no maintenance.
Thank you. Let me welcome J. Victor Nambwe. The American call him Nambi. So he started calling himself Nambi now. Mr. J. Victor Nambwe is FOL political analyst. Mr. Nambwe,
listen, man.
Who or what is responsible for this fire?
Yeah, listen, Dennis. Thank you all very much. I think you're doing justice to the topic. I was coming in on your traffic and listening in. I said this morning in several of my chat rooms where I am. I think really any attempt to begin to point fingers, in this early days of this crisis, is premature, and I think it's reckless. Someone mentioned recently, I mean, not too long ago on the set here, actually, how Liberia converted from, when I was growing up in Liberia, we were using, I think, 110, And so Jimmy Ismail is an engineer on set here. I think he'll be. We converted to, I think, 220 or whatever it is.
220, that's correct.
Yes. I think the Capitol building was built in the 50s. I don't believe any attempt was made to rewire this building and make it suitable for this conversion. And I mean, if you look back on the recent spate of fires, I mean, in the early days of this government, there was an average of one fire per week. Okay, so yes, right now with what is going on, it is easy to assume that this may have been done by someone intentionally, but I think we shouldn't dismiss the possibility that this could have been some electrical problem. You know, I listened to the president's comments, and I was just really disappointed, you know, that he would come out to make such comments, suggesting that this may have been the work of hooligans. You know, we saw the former president, we had to do the same thing during the, Peters and Gifty Lama, Albert Peters and Gifty Lama, case. While the investigation was going on, he came out and talked, said nonsense about people doing boyfriend and girlfriend thing, And I think that kind of prejudiced the investigation. And I think what the president did today has the potential to also impact the investigation. I think he shouldn't have said it. As of now, nobody knows who may have been responsible for this fire. And I think we need to leave it to the authority to investigate. Should we be concerned? Yes. Our authorities are not known to conclude any investigation. I mean, several high-profile fires have happened here. From the Ministry of Finance, I think during 2 days, the finance may have burned, I think 2 or 3 times. I don't think we ever got to know what happened. So there is concern as to whether we'll ever get to the bottom of this, but this is what we have. I think we should allow the people to do the investigation, then to come out and prematurely begin to cast, judgment on what happened today. I think it's reckless and really quite very, very disappointing.
Thank you. And this is not happening in isolation, so people are concerned that something might have happened. And let's look at the entire Senate, the House brouhaha, right? When Speaker Kufa was away, people blocked the chambers, and then they say, according to the so-called majority block, that the main chamber was vandalized, and that's why they were not having their sessions in that chamber. At some point, we saw fire. It happened. Later on, when the so-called majority bloc was trying to meet, the so-called minority bloc went there and blocked it, and they started punching tires. I saw people bleeding, and they were cursing, Prophet Key style. Yesterday was protest, and so that place, the Capitol Hill, has been that high area of alert. Are we saying that the security, nobody was there, or they were not watching? There are 2 in my village. They have 2 guys. The one is Secular Better, and the other one is Tutu Jabwe. One is a drunk, and one can tap palm wine. So the guy who is a drunk, wherever Secular Better had a palm wine tree, the way he always going to set a trap. Then when he come in, he's drunk. Okay.
So then I think we remember the very first day that this dueling, legislators were going to the first.
Hey, Mr. Namwe, man, let me end this story. Tell me what happened to Stemlet.
Oh, all right, Mr. Chief Parliament, go ahead.
Secular Better is the guy who tapped the palm wine tree. Then Tutu Jabwe is the one who has his trap. Yeah. So everywhere Secular Better had his palm wine tree, there where he's setting a trap. You think that's coincidence? So we don't know what happened in this case. But Mr. Cherry, if we look at a series of events, does that lead us to point finger anywhere?
When you look at the series of events, what started this is power struggle, greed. Y'all know me again. I need to say I have been with this president up to tenure. You guys talk about tenure, and I said tenure, great. What he's doing, elections have consequences. Y'all talk about yellow mission. I said, great. The president has development agenda. Not on this particular issue. Never, ever on this particular issue. Some of us, stand for Constitution, the rule of law, and the administration of justice. When it comes to this issue, the sequence of events that led to this, the president of the republic took the speaker to the Pope to the Vatican to shake the Pope's hands, and while he's there, his people contrive a diabolical plan, a plan to remove the speaker.
Mr. Sheriff, with all not because two things happen side by side, they have correlation. Remember that. Go ahead.
But I will get to a point where you will probably agree with me that all of this is with the acquiescence of the president of Liberia. So the president, again, as I said on the last show, the president submitted his budget to the rebels, the 43 rebels, submitted his budget to them. Right there, you tip the scale. Dennis, a typical example yesterday during this mass protest, one of the biggest protests in recent years, the president goes to the Capitol building and the police begin to clear. You know, Coleman has to resign. He has to be fired. He's very incompetent at this point. Okay? He starts to clear the area for the president. So that then becomes a no-go zone. That was not a coincidence. By the parable, Dennis, that you just told, how is it that the president of the republic is coming to the Capitol at the same time as the protest? Was that a coincidence? Was it a coincidence that he's submitting his budget to the rebels? Was it a coincidence that he's congratulating Representative Richard Cohen, who's not the speaker? Is it a coincidence that he's reacting this way? Is it a coincidence that they are ordered the arrest of a member of the unity of the CDC? Is there a coincidence that they're arresting CDC partisans? This is not a coincidence. This is a design. This is planned, and this is the step-by-step demolition of the Liberian democracy that I'm talking about. So you cannot destroy this democracy. And when you try to destroy this democracy, these are the things that are going to happen. I don't care about this building. I don't have any affinity to this building. You know, one of my first time in this building was to go in there to boo Vice President Harry F. Moniba for presiding over the trial of the kangaroo trial of Chair Chipo. That's my memory of this building, the illegal and unjustifiable impeachment of Chair Chipo. I was in that building, and I was one of the students who booed the vice president when he opened his mouth that day. Were I in Monrovia, I will be in that line of protest. Maybe I will be one of those tear gassed. Dennis, there was a young man who was bloody. So it begs the question: how did he get bloody? Did he cut himself with knives and stuff, with a knife or some kind of sharp object? What happened to him? Pearl Brown Bowl, whose face looked like, you know, she was involved in a 12-round boxing context, and you could see her, you know, she was peaceful. And what happened to her? Who hit her with something? What happened to her? Why is the investigation not expanding to include the president of the Republic of Liberia? Why is the president doing this? This is a step-by-step demolition of the Liberian democracy that I'm talking about. And when we're talking these things, you have unprincipled-minded unity partisans calling us unpatriotic. We patriots, me a patriot, Jerome, J. Victor, all these people are here, Glendy and others, Mr. You know, so how dare you? How dare you? You have the audacity to call somebody patriot. And you know what? This is the thing that we saw in the military era. These are the things that we saw during the military regime. We don't want to come back to this situation. Now they're arresting opposition elements. Why aren't you doing the same with the ruling party? people.
you.
Why
Thank
are
you.
you questioning them?
Thank you. Jimmy, today is the first time we have seen the president speak publicly about, because it was fire, right? But he has not, besides the comment he made in Sierra Leone, he has not really commented on the house brouhaha or used his bullet pulpit to call for calm.
Mm-hmm.
As the president tried to build the fence after the guinea pigs finished destroying the rice.
I like that. First of all, you have to properly identify things if you're even going to address it properly. This isn't hooliganism. This is domestic terrorism if it was intended. If somebody carried out a malicious attempt to burn the building, this is not hooliganism. This is domestic terrorism. And if you don't start identifying things properly, you're not going to fix it. So the question is, this place has been a hotbed, just like I think you hit it on the nail. It has been a hotbed. Security, there was a lead fire, there was a protest. First of all, if the president was going there, that place should have been sealed off. There were so many security lapses here. As somebody who's been dealt with incident response, you would notice there were so many lapses here. How can you have a protest going where the president is going to be? You cannot. You have to seal that off. Completely seal it off before that happens. So we saw what happened. They removed the protesters, and the president was able to go there. But my question is, if we had that much scrutiny on this building, how come even if a fire begins, how come nobody was there in time to take care of it? Because if you make a proper risk assessment, you have to define response protocols. There should have been somebody there a long time before that fire reached the level it was. What were they doing? You can't tell me no police were there when there was such an intense police presence for the last couple of days. Everybody should have been trained on how to respond to certain incidences. And here we are. The building is burning, but you say you are securing the building. This is a lapse. Now, if it's for political advantage, as Mr. Sharif is indicating here, again, it is terrorism. You cannot use the people, the state building for your political gain. It is terrorism. Whether it's being held by a person or group, or it's state-owned terrorism. But that's what this is. And we failed to adequately respond to this threat. And in most civilized countries, somebody has to be let go, because this is a failure to respond in time. And we can't just look at it as something that by accidental. Let's say it was a fire, electricals. Still, why didn't you put that out way before it reached the level it was? Somebody was asleep at the wheel, and so we have to put blame where blame belongs. It was poor preparation.
And where are you putting that blame?
A poor response and response protocols, and lack of properly assessing the risk at the time. And not enough backup for any critical operation.
And do you think President Boakai is coming to this too late?
You're a bit too late. And if it's Boakai, I know people like to point their fingers to Boakai. I'm a person who like to point their fingers to the deputies who are supposed to be doing these things. You're supposed to be trained. You're supposed to be professional. And if you fail to do it, then the chief executive needs to take an action against you. But I don't point it directly to the chief executive. I pointed to the deputies who's supposed to be performing their duties correctly.
Thank you. Mr. Chevy, let's look at the start of what we see as the investigation, right? Our recent history is replete with investigations that go nowhere. Now, as I said previously, this being a hotbed, heightened security should be at that place, because just yesterday there was that entire place was militarized, And in less than 24 hours, we have this. And at that point, we are not talking about maybe CCTV camera. Is it there? It's almost like most of the Nigerian shows I watch now. That's why they are so boring, because everything, the issues are always solved by either a pastor or some supernatural force. So now, what you expect is the kind of reference the police is making, like to say, let's check the camera, let's see in the event. But the first thing is, let's go to Safoko, who said something 6 months ago. What does that tell you? If you start the investigation on that Fulton, where do you think it's going? Already, we have people like Carrasco and other people in jail. What really happened for which people were rounded up and put in jail, I don't know the full story yet. What do you make of the beginning of this investigation? Is it going to be scientific or another village, medicine man business?
Is it to me? Okay. First of all, I think that we're making some assumptions, and most of us who have spoken for instance, we're assuming that the president perhaps didn't have some kind of intelligence, right? Usually, chief executives are way above all of us the information we get on the outset of anything in a country. Somebody will have to have some kind of probable cause that will make the president to direct a statement in a certain direction. I would like to believe that. Otherwise, our country is in trouble. If you think that your president will just make some reckless statements, really, we have to look at a country as a country. The other thing is, my information is that the fire started very early in the morning, 6:02 or something like that, right? And typically, I don't know if that has changed. It used to be that Capitol building, the lights are on when people are in the building. Sometimes some of these lawmakers even had their own generator, standby generator. That's how bad it was. I don't know if all of this has changed. So there are a number of things we have to gather the evidence in that respects. And based on the circumstantial nature of how the context that we're discussing, how things are built up, you just look at the preponderance of the evidence. If somebody is saying, look, I'm going to burn this place down if this doesn't happen, what do? You're a law enforcement person. This kind of catastrophic thing happens. And you sit there.
Why don't you call the man for question at the time he made it?
Yeah, okay. I'll ask that question. The person should have been questioned way before an incident like this will happen. And if this incident happened, well, if it was just a coincidence, some kind of, I don't know, as was suggested.
Let me tell you another story before you go ahead.
Let's go.
There's a animal, we call it rabbit, but actually that's not rabbit, because rabbit is not in Liberia, right? So for the sake of, but it's small like rabbit, right? So rabbit threatened one day, said, tomorrow I'm going to toilet in front of the chief house.
Yeah.
Right. So when elephant heard that, midnight elephant went and just did it. And the size was 3 times the size of rabbit. So in the morning they called rabbit the tower. He said, rabbit, man, that you say, look, man, you look at that thing. Look at the size. But Rabbit couldn't say anything because he said it, so you were put in jail.
Yeah, why did they call Rabbit first, right? Because Rabbit had threatened them to do that house.
Because that was jungle justice. So we are sophisticated now, so we should do something better than that.
No. That may have given other people ideas. Elephant an idea to go and do it in front of the chief's house in the first place.
You're right.
Exactly. So if you say that you're going to burn the seat of the first branch of government down, you burn the chamber, and you are a certain lawmaker, and the next day the place is burned down. And the previous day there was a protest that turned violent.
He led a protest.
Yeah, he led our protest. Law enforcement, they don't call the police. They don't call this individual to question. Then we will be sitting here saying, "Oh, they're incompetent. They're not doing their job." So we really have to try to be balanced and objective in these kinds of situations. That's the first thing I want to get out of the way. Yeah, and in terms of the investigation, those are the initial things that you want to look at. Okay, so what are we working with? You have to build a theory of the case that you're investigating. I'm not a police or law enforcement person necessarily, but what we see and we read, you try to say, okay, what is the context? What am I working with here? You look at the physical structure, you secure the crime scene, you try to, collect whatever evidence you can gather, and then look at people who made statements. Social media, what do they do here? Check the person's social media profile. Did they do radio appearance? Did they make any public statement? Or did somebody say something? Is this pointing to someone? You build it and build sort of a theory that will help you to follow evidence and gather information. That's where you start from, right? And even you call in forensic experts to come in. They do the forensic work similarly. They start constructing reverse engineering that whole building, and then they look at the circumstances around it. There was tension here, there was protest, people were here threatening, and all of those things they'll put together and produce for you what they believe may have happened. And so those are the places you look, and I think the police is right to call Representative Sarfoko to answer questions. And as far as the comments about arresting opposition people, we understand. Look, when opposition is opposition, right? They oppose policy and oppose things that the government is doing. They organize protests. In a democracy, you want people to speak freely, but you want them to be peaceful as they do so, as they exercise, because constitutional responsibility comes with constitutional obligation. Just that citizenship has rights and obligations, right? So you come to protest, remain peaceful, and, make your case, let your government hear you. You can protest against your government. But if people come that route and you see that this is going to lead to chaos, especially when the president is coming, if the police doesn't move, they don't hold people accountable. We will sit here. We will sit there.
Please, come on.
What exactly?
No, Jerome, we will sit there and say these people are not qualified. They're incompetent.
What was he doing there?
Be honest now.
Hold on, guys.
Be honest. When you
where's
the president doing there?
I gotta push back on this. A protest that has been advertised for 3 weeks. The president chose that particular day of the protest to present paper. What is that?
Well, listen. So, I can't answer for the president or the presidency. I'm not anybody's spokesperson or apologist. What I'm saying, if you are the president of the country and you have something on your schedule, you do it. They don't restrict you. They just
could he have put this off? Could he have addressed the nation that day?
What's happening at the White House? Would I make the president to stop working that day?
It does not work that way.
Mr. Salif, what exactly did the protesters do to warrant the tear gassing and the arrest and everything else?
Well, I mean,
there were stones being thrown.
Where, Jimmy? Where?
No, listen. I'm listening at the tape.
No,
and the journalist is reporting.
Show me the tip.
Wait a minute. I will show you the tip. The journalist is reporting that the protesters are beginning to throw stones.
Yes.
And then I saw the reaction of the police to disperse them.
Mr. Jimmy, you are listening. Show me the tip.
All right. Hold on. So it appears that they only stopped them because the president was going there.
Right.
Because they have not. But let me go to Glendy. Glendy, we've talked so much. Glendy, go ahead.
So I wanted to I hear Mr. Sirleaf.
Yeah,
that's Mr. Sirleaf is saying, I know your name. I just was trying to read. I'm laughing because on one tone he's saying, I'm not here to speak for the president. Right. But then on the other tone, he's talking about President Boykot's response, whether it was warranted, whether he had to go there.
Book of condolence for.
So yes, that's what he went. And that thing about the book of condolence could have been signed anytime. Yes. Somebody can die, you can go to the family home, you can sign it. Right. But let me say here, Dennis, I don't think the police, they're wrong for wanting to question Representative Foucault. He made a statement. Sometimes when we say things, we have to be responsible. We have to be able to stand by it. But I think the police, they've been overexerting themselves, too anxious to catch somebody. And so they're doing it in a rush and they're not taking time. So everything they've done that they could have been able to be successful, they're not. Like, what did it warrant for them to carry 3 truckload of police people to Sophoca's home today. If you're just calling him for questioning, if he's just a person of interest, could you not have just one police officer go and ask him, come to the station, let's speak with you? Why did they go there? Why are they alarming situations more? And then we hear we say, oh, they're arresting opposition. So this is the thing when Mr. Saliva is saying, oh, it's right for them to call him. I agree. But who else have they arrested today? Who else have they questioned? The fire started. Have they spoken to the people? And then also do you, Mr. Salif, and I think to somebody else, the police IG yesterday said that the police was in control of the Capitol building. So were they just in control until 4 p.m.? And after 4 p.m., nobody was there manning the place?
Great point.
After you have such a huge protest the day before with some calamities, and then nobody is there at night?
That is an
Something
excellent.
happens? So who else did they call to ask?
Before you learn, Gladys, normally when this thing happens, police investigation, or even if there's no camera, they look at who was in the building. Did you see car leaving? Is it gas? But nothing like, we didn't hear anything.
We didn't
like
hear
that.
anything. And the thing about it too, Dennis, we didn't hear any of that stuff. And I supported President Boyka. I still support President Boyka because I didn't think George Weah needed a second term. I am now being called in opposition to Boyka because I have my opinion, and my opinion is not biased towards President Boyka.
Right.
I want us to speak truth to power, regardless of what side of the aisle we're on, whether we support Boyka or not. We got to be truthful because Liberia is the one that's in the midst that need us to support them. When you say who else did he, and then when we're also saying when they're already working towards the investigation, like it's an arson, then it means that they've already ruled out. So in less than 24 hours, they rule out an electrical problem. In less than 24 hours, the president comes and almost categorically sounds it like it was arson, that he knows the corporates or he knows the whoever, however he decides. So we got to be careful. And last, Sheriff is saying that the president can give whatever speech he wants to. I agree. But the president needs to be slow to speak. He is a leader of the country. He cannot be divisive in his position so that people think that he's for this group and for that other group. Right. He didn't have to speak about it today. He didn't have to categorically throw out the fact that there could be something else wrong. The president is coming to us and saying that he thinks that these people were the one, or there's a group of people, however word he wanted to use. He's already saying that the investigation is done. That's premature. He should not have done it. I know I will get plenty of cussing, but I will not lose any weight from the cussing.
Thank you.
But we have to be able to speak truth. That's just it. What he did today, he could have waited. You can't preempt the investigation when it hasn't even started. Then it means that you all have premeditated notion on what you want to do, what caused this problem, and this problem is not going to be resolved. So what we have now is a divided house, a divided country, and now Liberia is left alone. And that's wrong.
Glendy, you are one of the best. Glendy, you are one of the best Liberians. Let me tell you.
Mr. Salim, you were coming. You were telling more. I want to see Mr. Nabe. What are the
No, Dennis, that's unfair. Though. Glendy is invoke my name a lot in reference to. So I just wanted to.
I'll give you a chance. I don't want Nabe to fall asleep.
Okay, talk to Nabe then, Mr. Nabe.
He's taking a low-hanging fruit here with this whole thing.
Why are you always attacking my comrade?
I know, right?
I know, and I know he said any indication to say that the president's statement were reckless, I think is unfounded.
Listen,
look, I didn't tell you this.
We were with somebody lost their power and you look drunk. It gotta be you.
So you know, the police and Glendy is saying that the heavy-handedness, even the way they handle the protesters, it's like they always take a sledgehammer, even to kill a fly. You understand me? If you say you are inviting the legislator to the headquarters for questioning, yeah, you can invite the man in. Why you gotta go send for him using, armed personnel to go and pick up the man of interest. What is a crime? You know? Now, there are several ways they could have, carry out the investigation, which I hope they're doing. And that's why I said the way the president reacted today, it's up to influence the way the police is going to react, the way they're going to conduct the investigation. The worst you can do as a student of science is to go in a lab and already have the result and perform your experiment working towards the result. That's the most difficult research to do. The president is telegraphing to these people already where to look. And that's why that's why they're doing what they're doing. They're trying to please the president and make sure his statement comes through. But someone indicated somewhere I was reading, they could have gone to the cell phone tower and do their triangulation, right? Look at the signals, and they could have probably, by that, they could have placed a couple of individuals at the site of this fire around a certain time limit. The pictures that we saw, the thoroughness of the burn that took place in that building, it's not just some little somebody throwing something. This is something that, it could have been a real major electrical problem. We don't know this. So I think, yes, did they go for the lowest hanging fruit? Of course. They don't want to do the difficult job of, for instance, following the signals and following people who call whom at what time of day, leading up to this fire. There are a lot of ways they go to determine, where to go, how to follow their lead. What is the lead they're following with Safogo? Glennie has already indicated Safogo made this statement since July, right? And now this is when they're gonna go and send trucks to go and get him. Yes, maybe what he said was inflammatory. I get it, but it's a democracy. The man is free to express himself. That's not a crime. I understand. Funadi Kofa is also a person of interest. Well, what about Mo Ali? I read on his Facebook yesterday, he also wrote that today they are going to be a watershed news. What kind of big turning news was he referencing? Why is he not also a person of interest if we're going to go that way? So, I think the way this government is proceeding since the inception of all of this, somebody, I think it was Muhammad, who talked about, on tipping the scale. And right now, they're not doing it in secret anymore. The president's appearance today, seated beside him, was Ricky Cohn. And the vice president on the other side with Funadi Kofa in the crowd. This government has already decided, that this case is over. Never mind the bill of information that's before, the Supreme Court. And the way they're playing with this crisis here, there's no wonder every day it is escalating. Yesterday we sat down here, some of us were on this, we were expressing our disappointment over the turn of events, over the demonstration, the protest. Now today, this is even bigger than what happened yesterday. And apparently every day it is escalating, even because there is a failure of leadership on several levels. A failure of leadership first from the Capitol, where Funadi Kofa has been his deputy speaker for years. What did he do to secure the place? Are there CCTV cameras in the building? That's something they could afford with the kind of money that goes in that house. So there was a failure there. Someone mentioned the police. We know from the first day when the dueling sides announced they were going to hold sessions, the police has been taking over that building, even at night. There were several networks carrying the police going in there and sleeping there overnight. They've been there the whole time. How is it now that people went in there to set the place on fire? So there was a failure there. Then there was a failure from the executive. I'll repeat, the president's remarks did not do justice to this situation. He's tipping his scale. He's always tipping his scale. He wants everything to go the way he wants it. Why don't we follow the facts? I think what he said today was unwelcome, was unnecessary, and was reckless.
Thank you, Mr. Salif. Now your name was invoked.
Yeah, my name was invoked a lot. Look, we've seen hooliganism take place at the Capitol. People breaking chairs. People throwing the day one when they said they were removing when Speaker Kofa was in at the Vatican, and this group of lawmakers started agitating. People were agitating, and so the police is not just. Yesterday, someone was criticizing the police. I saw the press conference where Director General Coleman was responding to reporters. They said, "Well, why did you go there? They have their own police, the Capitol Police." The LNP is the number one law enforcement, and as far as policing is concerned, they are charged to protect property and life and property, and they can go there when they see that there's violence or there's potential for violence. I think people shouldn't question that. But again, we're the same people who have been here on this very show and said that these people are incompetent. They're not doing their job. When they're doing that job, at least seeming to be doing their job, we come back again and say, well, you're using force and you're not doing this. And then we assume also that perhaps we have all the facts, because police work, they may be gathering evidence, some things that are not high profile, we don't hear about, right? And then we're questioning all of these things. So yes, you'll hear about Safoko because he's a certain representative, because he has been so vocal. He has been so basically like the rabble rouser in the house there. And if this kind of thing happen after you've said similar thing, law enforcement will invite you to answer questions. So that's okay. As we can question the president's timing, the people around him, the decision they made to be there. That was a senator who passed, and I think that they were having I don't know if the body was at the rotunda of the Capitol building, but the president went to sign a book of condolence. Yes, you can say, well, because of tension, you could have used different judgment. That's all up to them. But my point is, then when else will we not restrict the movement of the president, right, or another high level official because of the extension somewhere? Why do we have law enforcement in the place? So there's just a whole combination of things.
If the two groups have to go somewhere, the protesters and then the president is higher, so the protesters should wait.
No, the protesters are the citizens, right? Yeah. They are the ones who hire the president.
Because the president got to sign the book of condolence.
Look, then we know how these things work in our country, in our context, right? Even in any country, really, if the head of the chief executive has to run the state, people have the right to express their constitutional freedom.
That's not any urgent thing, right? To sign a book of condolence. If the people,
listen. I can't determine that. That security can make they can do that risk assessment and say, look, can the president go in this situation or not? That's up to them.
If these people had to go ahead to go and protest and stage their constitutional right, okay, and you say, well, we changed our mind because the president is coming to sign the book of condolence. So
no, I'm not saying that the president shouldn't change his mind either to say my citizens are protesting at the Capitol, therefore I can't go in there. There's security. The president can go there, can go anywhere he wants to go. Any president, for that matter. That's my argument there. Okay. So
even if you are going for lunch,
Mr. Jha.
No,
Mr. Jha.
Mr. Jha, your presidential security is not the same type of security they'll provide to a minister of state or
Mr. Jha, can I chime in?
Yeah. Go ahead and chime in.
Mr. Salif, I will, with all due respect, if you were an advisor to the president, you would be a terrible one. And I have to be honest with you. When you saw even the State Department a day before put out an alert warning that the Capitol is being inundated, the Liberian police have a water tank, tear gas, and they are warning their citizens to stay away. I think Mr. Jha has that alert. If the international community can tell that this is dangerous for people, all power is inherent in the people. The people are gathering and the world sees it and they say, this is dangerous. And the president said, I am the supreme. A protest that we've been talking about for the past 3 weeks. The president chose, of all days, the day of the protest and say, you're clear the place. From what you are saying, what I gather here when I listen to Mr. Coleman, he said the EPS, the Capitol Police, Immigration, the police, and how do you call it, joint security, had the entire Capitol locked down, joint security.
Mm-hmm.
If you had this much security, joint security, where nobody was allowed to come close to the Capitol. My nephew called me. He works at Stella Marie's. They couldn't go to work because the joint security locked down the whole place. And you are telling me, with all this EPS, immigration, security, the Capitol Police, then the Gregory Cuomo Police, with all that, somebody, the hooligans just went in there and burned the place. And Mr. Salim, if you are in the Washington, D.C. area, the Liberian government copied word for word the Capitol Police, where the Capitol Police operates. No other law enforcement is allowed to go in there. And you know this. Liberia has a Capitol Police, and their responsibility, I'm going to read it here, is to protect the Capitol executives, even out of the country. That's their job. The entire executive. The Capitol Police, that's their job. They are autonomous.
Yes.
And for you to tell me that Gregory Cuomo has an exclusive right,
no,
that's not right, my friend.
Mr. Damon.
Hold on, Mr. Salim. I don't want it to be dialogue. Let me bring in Clarence. Clarence, I want you to start with this, right? Our senior resident economist, Depu Zuo, who's now Deputy Minister of Finance, wrote this. He said, this is beyond imagination. We are going around the world to beg other countries to give us their taxpayers' money and borrowing money at high cost for development. Yet, our Capitol building goes into flames. Lord, please restore this nation. I don't know what Jesus got to do with this because, yeah, you know.
No, he didn't call Jesus, he said Lord.
Okay.
So
that law could be Glipo, it could also
that's
be.
Right, that's right. It could be Allah. That's right.
Clarence.
Yeah, Mr. Ja, thank you. Look, there are other important things I want to mention. I don't even want to comment on that, Stephen, but I will do for a second. The president's office budget, his small office budget, the Senate Pro Tem budget, the Speaker's budget, the Deputy Speaker budget, the Vice President budget is more than 11% of the national budget. The Capitol building that you see down there, people still urinating on the side of the building.
Wow.
People urinating on the side of the building because the facilities are not up to par. They have not renovated that building. It is now that we're thinking about renovating. That building is leaking, heavily leaking. That lawmakers have to have the office staff map the floor when it rains. So what kind of money are you talking about? They already got the money. They're just misusing the money. They just did a budget in 2024. $15 million of budget expenditure. $20+ million on NSA with no accountability. So what we're talking about? They got money. So it's a shame. Now let me go back. Let me clarify a few things. You know, and I want to say this. Look, a monumental disaster happened in our country today or yesterday for those in Liberia. Monumental disaster. And we are treating this whole thing as though it is a zinc shack that got burned, like the one that got burned on Tottenham Street today, this afternoon in Buchanan City.
Hey.
How many? Tottenham Street. There was a massive fire at Tottenham Street in Buchanan City today while we're talking about the Capitol building.
That's true.
Let me say this. Yeah, let me say this, Dennis. How many fire disasters have we counted in Liberia since January? Including the United Party Chairman House, including Speaker Kofa House, including Sir Joseph House, including the very Capitol building, the electrical panels, the one that you can switch current on, switch off. Three of those sockets, two of those boxes got burned just 2 days ago. Who repaired them? What was the outcome of that repair? What was the investigation for the cause of the fire? Sent to the building.
Dr. Pearson, the matter has been the chambers, there were the so-called minority block, and then the so-called majority had been in this joint chamber. They were the new speaker or the other speaker has their office. Okay, is it a coincidence that chamber, and they say we're not coming back to your chamber because that's Kofa's chamber? Is there any coincidence that particular place got burned? And if you look at the pictures, I am not a fire expert. I'm not trying to preempt the investigation. Normally, the electrical fault will start maybe up there, but if you look at this thing, look at this fire started from the floor, like down here. That's why the roof is not burned that much, but right down there.
So let me tell you about the rotunda. The rotunda, you know how when you get your high top living room, that whole rotunda, the top of that rotunda is wooden design.
Right.
With the inside, with the so if anything got burned within that rotunda, with the upper part, all of the fire and the drippings will drop right in the middle of the building. Right in, where you see all the chair, all the plastic chair, the renegade lawmakers were sitting on, which have to inflame the situation more. All the plastic chairs, because you don't associate plastic with fire. All the plastic chairs in that you saw got burned right in there. There could be, so there are many factors. No, but let me answer your question, Dennis. Let me answer your question straightforward. United Party want to party runoff for a runoff. What the guy named the former commerce minister
Amin Modad.
Amin Modad lost to our man the Reverend.
Yeah.
In less than a week, the Reverend house got burned. Was it Amin Modad? So those things are circumstantial. But I'm looking at the number of times homes have gotten burned up here, and we've done nothing to. Sir Joseph have physically argued in Parliament. He has argued. He had press conference. Said, gentlemen, you have bad fire trucks for the 17th district across Moravia. Let us put fire truck everywhere. People have not listened. He still buying for the $5,000 car. Not one fire truck has been brought to the Capitol building. Not one. What are we talking about?
It's the Reverend house that got burned, though.
Yeah, the Reverend house got burned. Reverend Luther Tappe.
Yeah.
He was the chair of the Unity Party, yes.
Yeah, so I learned by saying this, Dennis. I learned by saying this. This is a monumental disaster for Liberia. We all should be calm. We all should be level-headed, especially for the president. If not, this thing will turn into what they call political witch hunt. That the nomination will give it. They will say, "Oh, it's a political witch hunt."
They say
go nowhere.
Only a fool will go to sleep while their house is on fire. So I don't know what kind of time.
But let me ask him to quickly what to Mr. Pearson.
Eastman, 1 second. Dennis, you misquoting me. When I say we should be calm, I'm talking about maturity of leadership. If my house is on fire and my children and myself will all become disoriented and confused,
we should be, because the house is on fire.
The level-headedness that I'm talking about, to be calm and be level-headed, is to allow for forensic event. The country is already divided. The country, the president is standing at the executive mansion, sitting down with a renegade speaker on his side. The speaker proper is nowhere to be found. He got all the majority black lawmakers around him. And the United States of America, that same afternoon, while the president was doing that, they said, resolve your impasse. Resolve your impasse in the election. In other words, I tell you, you have something that you've not fixed yet. And I'm still seeing you with your own resolved situation sitting there. And you're talking about different things than it's common diplomatic language. Something is wrong, and we need to sit down and be mature about this. You cannot go calling your citizens hooligans. Then you've already taken sides. You've already tempered the investigation. And I end by saying this. Listen, that threat that young man made, they said assumed threat that Foco made was in July the 3rd or the 2nd.
What do you mean assumed threat?
Yeah, that alleged threat. It was in July. He was speaking against the LPRC that had credited from the bank $19 million or $1,000, something like that. And we're about to expend on something that was of no value to the country. Foco was saying, listen, we need that money to address other issues. We shouldn't be borrowing from the bank because it will come with interest that will even double the expenses we need to make in our district. He said people's homes are flooded. People don't have to save drinking water. He was making those insinuations, and it was against Kofa. It was against Speaker Kofa. And he said he didn't care whether Kofa was CDC or Kofa was UP. He was concerned about the people of Liberia. Now we sit down and quickly.
Kofa wanted to talk indoor, and Safogo wanted to be in the open.
So we need to be careful here. We need to be level-headed. All right. If even that is the best choice of what, because you want to take me out of context, we need to be level-headed. We need to be mature. We need to handle this thing with care.
I wanted to add something to what you see.
Even my life is not tied to the Capitol building. I'm here. I'm comfortable, but I'm not calm.
I had a discussion with some officials or people close to high-ranking people, and they are looking at this administration becoming more and more authoritarian. And for it to
That depends on who you talk to.
I can't say to
Yeah,
enforce an authoritarian.
Then there will all be diverse opinion. Don't get it, man.
To enforce an authoritarian rule, he will have to militarize either the police or another group. So after this incident, I know people I see people talking about enough is enough, but are we about to now see the militarization of the police? That's the next thing we need to look for. And if we do, then we've seen that before.
Yeah,
PRC and all that. We've seen it before.
Right.
Jimmy Eastman, Jimmy, real quick.
Hold on. Let's take a short break.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah, hold on.
I just read this from Mr. Martin Colley. He's advising the president to declare a state of emergency so he can have control. This is Martin Colley's advice to the president.
There it is. We've seen this thing before.
Let's take a short break.
Corona bene contra my people who want they contra the people. I want them contra the people, my people. The boy want me on shit. Let the candle wet today. I hear no advice.
Hi, my name is Addie Tyler from Pennsylvania, and you're watching Focus on Liberia.
So thank you for watching. And in case you're watching and you want to join the conversation, the number is scrolling in the text there. Please call and be a part of it. So
they need to get our woman going.
Mr. John, real quick. I'm glad you brought Abby Tyler on. Abby Tyler said,
gotta go ahead.
The few seconds you gave her, they said everybody should get up and stretch. That's what she said.
Yeah. So our next part we're going to be dealing with is what happened next? This whole Senate brouhaha. They say, well, COFA, the Supreme Court, everybody thought ECOWAS came, we kicked them out, everybody talking, and it's this thing we're fighting. And President Bouaka has shown zero leadership. He has not used his bullet pulpit. He had nothing is happening. He said, well, this is normal. Now, there was fighting, bloodshed. Yesterday was riot, and now the Capitol building is burned. Do we need to close down this building, in fact? And see if we would die because we don't have legislators. What do we do? So let's look at it. But our healthcare person said we should stretch. So let's stretch as we listen to our young friend from Buchanan. Liberia, our country, Liberia, who have thought that the Capitol building will be burning. I was in the war and I watched Monrovia burn uncontrollably. Fast forward, almost 30 years later, we see the capital city in the middle. The symbol of when it comes to the authority, the leadership of the country, burning. And we see lawmakers. Some people call them legislators. Some people call them Zogos in suit. Some people call them legislature. But I mean, we've seen how when they are insulting one another, they are fighting. Yet, I mean, another round of election will come, and you see people carry them shoulder high on their heads, as if they're going to do anything to bring relief to our people. This is sad. Where do we go from here, Mr. Nambi? Look in your crystal ball. What next? The Senate brouhaha 2029. The way things are going. President Boakai always coming to the show late. When our people say when the pot, when it boiling, we don't notice. When it start burning, we say, oh, the time the thing was burning, you don't see it. It's another way.
Dennis, let me begin by thanking our viewers for tuning in, especially Eleanor here, all the way in South Korea. Thank you for tuning in.
Eleanor is local in Atlanta. Eleanor left Atlanta and went to South Korea. Enjoy, girl.
Oh yeah, yeah. So where is this headed? Is really anyone's guess. Because I think, like you indicated, there's lots of missed opportunities by this government to exercise leadership on this matter. I mean, look, this thing started since back in October. We haven't heard the president say a thing about it. This is a situation that will require the president to address the nation, to reassure, the citizenry. He was in Sierra Leone. The ECOWAS parliament came here. He initially refused to meet with the people. He said, Liberians could handle Liberian problems. He went to Sierra Leone. Yeah, the Liberians, they can handle Liberian problems. But it is like everything else but handling this situation, and we've been saying this thing here a long time ago that this is going to get ugly, and it saddens me to say, I think the worst is yet to come, and you just read, Jerome just read what some of the people who have access to the president, are already writing. These are people who always announce that they pick up the phone and talk to the president, so they have the president's ears. They tell him to declare a state of emergency. Has that been, is that what the end game has been all along? To render the legislature dysfunctional and and declare a state of emergency. I hope to God not. But it is very difficult to gauge the future, and this is what is very frustrating and disappointing to a lot of us. The president is absent, on this matter, I mean, and when he's present, is sometimes it's better for him to stay out. You were just talking about him coming to the Capitol building yesterday, of all days and of all times, on the same day at the same time that protesters are in the streets, and it's like indicated previously, it's like in your face. He comes in the people there. Yes, his predecessor, the president, he was vice president on a situation like that. She's noted for getting out of the car and going in the crowd and having a chat with the people,
Exactly.
and having a conversation.
Yes.
He even waved to the people. So this is really confusing. And it would have been interesting to watch, but there are real lives at stake here.
Thank you.
So I hope he would take seize of this thing and really find a way out of it, because he is the president. The buck stops with him.
Thank you, Mr. Salif. President Boakai was quoted one time as saying, "I talk only when people are ready to listen." I don't think that's so good, but with the executive mansion, when I think a floor got burned, it took how many years? 10 years. They were using that as a cash cow to repair that. Now, with the Capitol building, look in your crystal ball. What do you see after this inferno?
Look, the Capitol building, the irony there is, this is where the massive looting of the state happens. This is where all these people were talking about fight, blood, and tears to get into to quickly enrich themselves. The problem is they're only extracting money and resources out of people through that building. So if somebody is still peeing on the building or
So the other record got burned, in fact.
yeah, you know, if the electricity doesn't work, the bathroom don't work, air conditioning don't work, which is true. When they're having a State of the Nation address, the place is hot, you know, dignitaries are uncomfortable. This is true. This is all misrule and failure of leadership, really. Including all the lawmakers. These are all our leaders, our people who are political leaders heading our institutions who should be making decisions, good or bad, for our country and for our people, right? And so I said the iron is that you know, the place gotten burnt, whether it's arson or electrical fault of some kind or neglect, disrepair, whatever it is. The people who are the leaders that are responsible. I don't care what investigation shows in the end. It's really the way the state is run, the way those legislators elect to lead and behave, and that is the result of what we're saying. And so, you know, when you read from Deputy Minister Depu, what you said was true, really. I mean, they're going around begging foreign countries to bring us money. I got a call this morning from a foreign reporter who had interviewed me previously for something else, and they saw this is all in the international media, it's all around the world. We're not driving investors, foreign direct investors to Liberia, whatever investors to Liberia. The image of the country is tarnished, and it's sad. So I agree with Pearson that this is catastrophic, it's monumental. The symbolism of it, the executive mansion, now the Capitol building, that's our government that's burning. I mean, it's almost like it's literal, you know, but for the fight they've been fighting and the everything that's happening there. So we have to put our house in order, put our house in order. Otherwise, people will not take us seriously around the world. It'll be difficult for the executive to function. The president we're talking about, doesn't speak. When he speaks, when people listen, if you're in a constitutional democracy and we're talking about institutions, and as we do here, as I say all the time, you know, you also have to listen. When do you speak? When do you respect separation of power? And all of these things, that are implications there. So I think it's going to take a long time to repair that building, because the interest will not be to fix it because you're fixing the state. It doesn't belong to one of the representatives or whatnot. It belongs to the state, and they will neglect it. Sadly, it will embarrass us for a long time.
Mr.
Mr.
Sharif,
you mentioned that.
Mr. Sharif, hold on, Jimmy.
We've
Mr.
seen
Sharif,
that a lot. He hit it on Neil. We've seen
hold on, Jimmy. Hold on, Jimmy.
Jimmy is frozen, I think.
Jimmy Dada is gone.
Yeah. Mr. Sharif, have the country burned before yesterday? I mean, this is just a manifestation of the burning that took place already.
Yeah, the country. You hear me quite a lot now. This democracy is rotten, and the president's action. But Ahmed, we have to go a little further. When we say the legislators, all of which, you know, they're bad, all of whom, then we extend it to the presidency also. There are three branches of government. Which branch can you pick now to say this is the most functional of the branches? The executive has contrived a master plan to seize control of the speakership. That's the genesis of the issue.
Exactly.
So we have to lay this at the doorstep of the executive. We can't beat around that issue. So an investigation, a scientific investigation, a thorough investigation of the issue. If you form a committee now, the committee, yes, is going to look at the alleged arson and arsonists, whatever they're called. They're going to look at a good investigator, or good investigators will look at all sides. They'll look at the opposition, They'll look at the ruling party people also. They'll look at lone wolves. Maybe there are lone wolves out there. They'll look at electrical issues. They'll look at all these sorts of issues. But the genesis of this, we have to drop this at the doorstep of the executive that contrived this plan to seize control of the legislature, of the position of speaker. So this is all about power. So when you go on from there, had that not happened, you don't have this incident. You don't have the protests. If the protest didn't happen, perhaps you don't have the police come up. If the police didn't come up, then maybe you don't have this incident. If every department, if every branch was doing their job, then we have fire engines in the 15 counties, in all the districts in the 15 counties, not just dishing out 700,000, 500, 700,000 to buy or purchase 43 individuals who don't have the numerical requirement to stage a coup, which the president has endorsed. The president never spoke to the nation, has never spoken to the nation on a crisis at his doorstep. But he goes to Sierra Leone and talks to the Sierra Leoneans. I mean, what kind of absentee leadership is this? The president does not come on your show to say, I'm having a conference today, I'm going to talk to Liberians through you, Mr. Ja. I'm going to talk to Liberians through this phone network, through different networks that are Liberian owned. But the president can go to a Nigerian station, or the VOA, or the BBC, and talk at length. This president has been very absent. When it came time for trouble, the president was out there making sure that his way was clear. So he went there. There's a reason why I surmise he went to the Capitol to push back the protesters. Someone said they throw projectiles, throw stones and stuff like that. But that started after the police started to push them back from the Capitol down to City Hall, all the way back. And that's why Gregory Coleman, who says that he's not a partisan, well, I'll tell you what, Gregory Coleman is a partisan now. He's part and parcel of this issue. And I think Gregory Coleman should be ashamed of himself. He should resign. He has, done something now that probably has never happened before, because his people were in control of the Capitol. So he needs to answer a question.
Yeah.
Why is he not under detention right now? Gregory Coleman is. Why is he not being questioned? Why is Safoko arrested?
He wants Safoko.
Why is Safoko arrested? Why is Richard Coon? Why is Richard Coon not arrested as well?
No, what are you arresting for? But Mr. Shelby, thank you. Let me bring in somebody who worked in that house. You want to listen to him?
Yeah, you're gonna bring my friend the troll?
Mr. Jim Lassa.
Why are you doing that, Dennis?
Yeah.
Mr. Lassa, you work in the Capitol building. How easy it is to burn that place?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I would just ask you to kindly protect me from some of the panelists who issues. Yeah, frankly, it is sad. So, Dennis, I have to commend you. Your show is really good. It's not like one of those shows they don't have respect for any subject matter experts. Your show invited two notable, respectable Liberian legal personalities a day or two ago, and those two legal personalities had general and specific consensus on the interpretation of the Supreme Court's ruling, and both of them agreed that the Justice Minister's interpretation is on point, so that if at all we Liberians can get a fall to be patriotic and put our country above our personal self-interest based on ethnic, partisan, or fraternal connection, Liberia will move forward. As long as we come with political motivation, that's bad. Here is the question. You asked me whether it has happened there before. No, that it's never happened there before. But I have to let you know that even in the great United States, with well-paid capital police service, you have people still penetrated. You got a whole country, Gregory is doing his best to protect that place, and you have people going there in the day at the United States Congress, in the day, broad daylight, and they penetrated. This is nighttime when these guys enter the building. It's sad for people to come and start finding excuses to justify the violence against our country. People must learn to love their country. This is not fair. Now, more Ali talk about watershed movement. Then you want to compare
we don't
that
love the country on the show yet.
Excuse me, let me lay. You have all the
No. You can't make a blanket statement like that. We don't love
Hold on, Mr. Pearson. Hold on, Dr. Pearson. The TLA member, this man was in the house.
No, but the record, I get the country other Liberians are more Liberian than other Liberians.
Hold on, let him finish. You will have the time to talk, please. Mr. Lassa, go ahead.
Yes, sir, Dennis. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it is. There's a thing distracting you. Here's the point I'm making. You have more Ali talking about watershed movement, basically referring to the fact that Liberia was receiving $500 million in the history of the nation that never happened in a single act of grant from the U.S. to Liberia. That has never ever happened. The only person that did it was Samuel Doe, and it was over several arrangements. This is a single grant. So that's a watershed movement. That is different from Fonadi Kofa talking about the Aloma fire that occurred in America here that burned the fire blaze that lasted for 2 weeks and covered an area of almost 30,000 acres. So this is not it. This is different. And we need to be patriotic in this country. Now, I heard somebody talking about, why the protester announced their protest 2 weeks ago.
So who's not patriotic?
It tried less than 2 weeks ago. And then secondly,
who is not patriotic?
Almost a month ago, and our whole program was scheduled long in advance of the protest. Government, the definition of government is to have monopoly over force. How can you expect the president to second himself to a group of hooligans coming to the capital and then hooligans who have been on radio talking about they want to overthrow the government or going to go to the mansion? Gentlemen, we can afford to be patriotic for our small little countrymen. We can afford to do that.
Thank you,
Dennis.
Thank you. Let me bring in Mr. Flomo Livingston. Flomo, if I don't like the...
Yeah, hello?
Go ahead, Flomo.
Yeah, Mr. John, thank you for the show. I just want to tell Mr. Ahmed Salih, I think so, thanks for the show. Thanks for your objectivity. Not the other guys who are just emotional on that show. No, I thought should be arrested by now. If they have, most of you guys live in the diaspora, you live in America, you don't make such a click and something happens, the police will call you for that. So don't come and think that you can just go on Facebook and say things, and when something happens, the FBI will not come to your house.
They will call you, Mr. Livingston. They will not send truckload of soldiers to go and get you.
Can I speak?
Yeah, but speak the truth.
I think they talk about that incident that happened in Texas that Brent got a full stem in jail right now. One of his cousins was arrested for the FBI because he threatened the governor of Texas and the judge of Pizarro that kid. He was threatening that on his own Facebook page. Why the FBI went to his place and arrest him?
Thank you.
Why is it that freedom of speech? So we should stop doing that. That type of thing. And for me, Tafogo should be in jail right now. Fonadi Kofa should be in jail for making that type of remarks and stuff like that. The government, if the government was not doing good, why did American government give that drug $500 million, $500 million? That's the news we should be talking about here. Not talking about the rule of law.
Yeah, get it first.
Video out there where there's a video out there where people, I think the protester was throwing stones. I can say that video, Mr. John, on spoon. People were throwing stones, and there are police officers who get hurt. They have pictures of video I can send to you. You call that a peaceful. You think when they say you have the right to protest, I mean you can just go block other people movement. There are police told them, say, no, don't block the road. Leave the road. Let other people move. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you should block other people.
Flomo, who you think burned the Capitol building?
No, I get few suspects. So I focus on number one because the thing is being black. What he making in January is the threat. They have thing like that will call you. And the former speaker who think that his speaker is his personal business, his personal inheritance when you're born, by him to occupy that position, you should be a suspect.
Thank you.
And I went down Melvin Cole. So I know what people forget about Melvin Cole. They talk about war and stuff. No, people talk about war. When war comes, one person will not get affected. Let me tell you that.
Thank you
so
for
let's
that.
say you bring one.
I said thank you.
So I mean, Mohammed stop being emotional because I just complete time after year and I'm talking with game on power. I already know. You know what? I'm not surprised.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me get our last caller here. That's Tubman.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and I want to say thank you to your panelists for nice discussion tonight. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, I want to condemn the act of violence that is going on in our country today that we are seeing all over the world, and especially when it comes to what we saw. We all woke up this morning. We saw the Capitol building on fire. But you see, it's one thing to sit and point finger, and it's another thing to sit back and wait for the entire conclusion of the investigation. And when this incident occurred, that was a video trading, and then you see, you just did an injustice to your listener. You played a clip or Representative Foucault. And this morning, if you check your WhatsApp page, I knew this topic was going to come up. I sent you the entirety of that video. You have it. Check your WhatsApp page and play it for your audience to see what the representative was making reference to. You have that tape. Play the entirety of the tape. Click. So not tape, and then play it and say that the representative was talking about burning down the building. So you do have the tape. Do us justice. Play the entirety of that tape. I sent it to you earlier this morning. Check your WhatsApp page. Okay. And secondly, the two callers I just called, you know, when the speaker made mention, he posted that war on his page. They asked him today, they asked the speaker the question, what were you referring to? He made it clear in his speech, right when he was coming out of the police station. He said he was referencing to the demonstrators that were on the street, the protesters that were on the street, and the police went after them and using violence on them. That's what he was referring to. So it got nothing to do with what United States and Mexico and all that thing, the way people interpreting it. But the thing here is, the police told us that building was under complete control. So please, we are the fighter. We don't want violence in our country. Let us sit back, let the investigation go on, and let's see if we can, even the government cannot handle the investigation, let it ask for help. And let us know what was the root cause of the fire. We can just jump into conclusion, pointing finger, arresting people, accusing people. I don't think it's even right for us right now. This thing just happened, and let us just be patient, let the investigation go on, and let us see the outcome. Regarding the president's statement, from time immemorial, we've been saying this on the show. The president is incompetent, very, very incompetent. He lacks leadership. He's not focused. He's completely absent-minded. He doesn't know what's going on around him. And we'll maintain our statement. We will say it, and no matter what it is, this president is very reckless in his statement. He should not even say anything over there. Leave the investigation to the investigator, and then let it come before you make statement. But he was reckless in his statement, and nobody should support it. Thank you, Dennis.
Mr. Tubman, before you go, you said what Safoko was speaking, the context. I provided the context about what happened and what Safoko wanted, right? That he was talking to.
No, I said, Dennis, you have the tip.
Yeah.
You have the totality of the tip. Please play it for your audience.
No, I don't have the. Hold on now, Tubman. What part of the tape you want me to play that, and what is it going to show?
The entire tip.
I don't have time, but you're not paying for content here. So what's the focus? What do you want in that tape that I left out that you want to be shown? And what is that going to prove?
I'm sorry, Miss Gladys just left the show because she was on spoon and she listened to the entirety of the tape.
Just tell me which part. I don't want to hear your story.
Dennis is the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the first 2 minutes.
Let me get to the point.
Right.
Okay. When you listen to the tape, he was referring to the FPRC manager. I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
He took some money. All right. He took some money.
Right.
And when he came to meet the entire body,
Safogo wanted an open hearing, and Funati wanted them to do it closed door.
Right.
Therefore,
he was speaking against Funati at the time.
No, but did he say? Did he say when they continue to do that, he's going to burn the chamber? Did he say that?
He said, he made mention about burning. He said, I will burn the chamber.
The session. He said, burn the session. He said, burn the session.
No, but based on what he said they will burn the section. They will burn the chamber, right?
Section.
He said section.
The section.
What section? What is section?
Yeah, what session? You will burn the people?
That's why you have to answer.
No.
Let them make that conclusion. Play the tip.
No.
But don't play just segment.
No, but that what you are talking about is the basis of what he was saying. What he was saying is because hold on. He said because Funati wanted this closed door and he wanted it open door, and we measure it here. As a result, whatever the context, whatever was driving him to say that, what he did say was he was going to burn down the Capitol building.
But that's what the United Party people want to say. That's what they say. He said it 3 days ago. That's a wrong narrative.
You didn't say you're going to burn down the Capitol building. You didn't say you didn't say you're going to burn down the Capitol
What is it that he was going to burn?
You mentioned that you're going to burn down the Capitol building.
What was he going to burn? What was he going to burn?
This is why we're saying, this is why we're saying play the tape. The tape you have it.
The tape doesn't have that. Yes, what the tape has.
Prioritize the Liberian people interests for which we were sent here from the 73 districts to burn that session.
Are you serious? Are you going to
I'm very serious about it.
To burn down?
I'm telling you that if the Liberian people, JFK got issue, even our staff force at Capitol building, there is no bus to take them home. There is no bus to bring them. There is no health protection for them. No insurance here for them. Let's look at JFK. Let's look at Redemption Hospital. Let's look at the teachers. Are we looking at the University of Liberia? The children don't have chairs to sit in at the University of Liberia. Let's look at public schools, Tottenham, and other public schools in Liberia.
So for that,
take into consideration.
For that reason, your police are corrupt. They are bunch of nickel pools. They will burn down.
I'm telling you that we'll burn down this section if these people don't work for the Liberian.
What difference would have made if they?
All right. So Clarence, you make me understand. Does it matter what prompted him to say it, or is it what he said that we're talking about?
I think what matters is what the United Party people want to pitch. The United Party people want to pitch that this thing was made 2 days ago, and then the riot happened, and then after the riot, he burned down the
No. I don't think you're going to the United Party.
I'm not going to play to the United Party playbook. I'm sorry, Dennis. I'm not going to play to the United Party people playbook.
No, I'm not talking to you because the next thing you're going to say is commies, right? All I'm saying is what did Safogo say?
No. What Safogo says is not relevant to the current development in the country because it's been politicized so that they can zoom it on the incident today. It's wrong.
They threatened to burn down the session or the chambers, right?
No.
If certain conditions are not met,
no, Dennis. That's misinformation.
Okay, what is the information?
The information is that this lawmaker was disgruntled over the behavior of his colleague in the House of Representatives, and he was offended over issues that developed in July against Funati Kofa.
Therefore, what did he say?
For the executive branch of government.
Yeah, I get that. Don't take me there. So,
and he says what did he say? Okay, let me refresh your memory.
Please, I remember that. Don't go there. Don't go there. Let's stay on what.
No,
I don't want to hear that.
But Dennis, what is the correlation between that statement from July
No,
to
no,
this.
I'm not talking
There's no
correlation.
relationship.
There's a
You don't
correlation.
There's no,
Dennis, hold on.
there's no
Why?
relationship.
Why? Wait,
Okay,
I'm surprised,
he's
Mohammed.
disenchanted. He's
You-
dis,
you-
he's dis,
No,
he's,
he
he's
said this, right? I
disenchanted.
want to, because
He's disenchanted by a whole.
what Tedman is saying
Dennis,
is I'm leaving out something to show one
Dennis,
thing.
Dennis, he's disenchanted by a whole host of issues.
I get that.
He
I
should
get
be
it.
Dennis, let me
commended for
ask-
that. He
I
has
get it.
no relationship. There's
No,
no,
no.
relationship to what is going on now. When you know when
But
the
what did he threaten to do?
when the president
Dennis, it's
contrived
not
a
correlated.
plan to remove the speaker.
There
So
is- look,
that
why?
has no relationship to this.
Why do they always have to make references to violence? Even the Yeka Koliba, the Safoko. Wait, the Mohammed, let me please.
Send a protest room, raise coffee, hot coffee on her fellow lawmaker.
Why are they always
Lawrence, let's stop
threatening
making these
violence?
kind of connections.
These
No,
are
but
elected.
that's what we see. So it's not
No.
correlated at all. You like saying because I say I will burn my house down.
No, you are
that's
saying
not
he
your
didn't say
house.
that.
This is
You know what? We shouldn't take it for granted. Anytime you hear somebody threatening, we saw what happened in 1990
Yes.
The people actually burned the country down.
They did.
This is what they do. And when they tell you, say they will burn
There were guys.
The inference is off course. The inference
Yeah. There were guys on LU campus who said, when the rebels get here, we're going to burn that mansion. Those are the guys. Those are the first group of people that went into exile. I will tell you that.
Yeah, no, but you can. All I want to establish here is, Safoko did say this. Tubman was trying to imply that I deliberately misled my audience because this man was not making reference to burning the Capitol building. Whether he was angry, whether he was incensed by anything else, that really doesn't matter. But
What
he
he's
did
saying
say,
is that this is going to prejudice somehow. I think that's what he's trying to say. This is going to prejudice the investigation because you look at the police now.
they already sent for it. They already won him because of this statement.
You
But
look
what
at
I
the
want us
police.
to get at is he did say this. Yes, you can say, well, he doesn't have the capacity. You can say he was angry. You can say anything, but he did say it.
Then to say this at this time is to prejudice the case that is ongoing because there's no correlation between the two events.
No, but my thing, where were the police? Where were the police that it burned? They put that kind of inferno on the building. Where were they?
They were there.
No, there's something wrong in this whole thing.
They said they were in control.
Mr. Ja, I got a caller on my phone, please.
No, that's a tell them to call the line. Who's the caller?
Mr. Willett, she said she's been calling the 605 number. She's not getting through.
That's not true.
Sometimes it's hard to get through.
Okay, go ahead.
Put it closer. Turn it up.
Call your name. Where you calling from, ma'am? Go ahead, ma'am. You're online. Your name and where you calling from?
Okay, I'm Mrs. Ware. I'm calling from Texas. San Antonio.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ja.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I want to say is, you turn out happy in our country this morning. We should not put in politics. We shouldn't frame it in a way that somebody did it. No. We should not make people to know that the other person, nobody did it. It happened again when a marshal got burned, Mount Hellington or marshal got burned. They wanted to put it on that book, but when it did, when they sent for specialists, I think from South Africa, to come and check it, they made a recommendation. The findings, everything is said it. Now the same thing happened. Because of what that man said, had called the Foko said. Foko didn't say he went. I was there. I listened to Foko. He didn't say he coming to burn the building. Foko will not be wicked to burn the building. Government building, safe building. So what they're doing is not good. They're creating more problem for the country. Those of you that are close to Bouaka, those of you that control to Bouaka, you're advising you should stop arresting lawmakers. What happened? You need to get electrician to check the wires, to check what happened. Security slept on at the building. Security slept at the legislature. Security slept there. They keep it guard day and night. They there. When the person passed, we go to a building, and they didn't see the person, and they didn't see the person. When the person passed, they sleeping there. At the legislature, security is there day and night. They there. From way before the light they started. Where were they when the person passed? And they say somebody passed. They should stop that.
Thank you.
They bring a problem. They bring more problem in our country. And brother Sia, those of you that can talk to Poker, they should stop because the more they arrest people, more tension will be in the country. They should find out the cause of this fire. That's what they should do. Intelligent man, president, good president, intelligent president will find out the cause. Is that bidding the first bidding to put oil power? Is that the first bidding?
Thank you.
And how to call it, Sir Joseph bidding and other biddings. Is that the first bidding? So they have to look for the cause of the fire first.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Red.
For the fire, but arresting people now, you creating problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So because some of us are what we're at, we can't say in now opinion. What we had, we can't say opinion. People they're calling.
Thank you.
Those people they put you brought from Sierra Leone. The one that paid, you know what they did? Because people don't want to talk.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for calling.
What the people they brought from Sierra Leone now?
Yeah, but you know
All
something.
right. At this time, we're going to conclude. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Dennis,
So we can give our closing.
I don't really believe the main cause of this problem is when they started suspending their fellow lawmakers because they took the side of Fonati Kofa. That is when they crossed the line. Who gave you the authority? Okay, you're divided. You have your supporter, you have the supporter. Who gave you the authority now to suspend your fellow lawmaker who was duly elected by the people of his district, his constituency, to represent them? Who gave you the authority to suspend them?
They have rules. Jimmy, the House has rules in the Congress.
They didn't suspend them from the House. They didn't suspend them from being
They suspend them from committees. I think they have rules.
No, not only suspended, they withheld their pay for 3 months.
Thank you.
Okay.
Who gives them the right to do that?
Gentlemen, I don't want us to go way too much, 2 hours. I want us to conclude and let's be forward-looking in our conclusion. You know what we expect and how we move forward from this imbroglio, if I will use that big word.
The buff from Boca Jire. Yeah.
No, man, I'm from Dudukan. I'm from Boca Jire.
From what? Naplo Institute?
No, I'm from Dudukan.
Waplo Institute, yeah.
Waplo is doing
He said Naplo.
And I'm going to make sure when I get back to Dudukan, we're going to establish student exchange program between Waplo and the Dudukan Junior High School. Listen, now let's close and let's be forward looking. What do we, the days and weeks from here? We want people to come back to this video and say, "Namwe said it." Go ahead, your conclusion, and we have a minute.
Well, thank you very much, Grisho. The way I see this, I think there's an easy fix to this. I listen to callers, I listen to some of the arguments. Everybody is saying the president is respecting the separation of power, 3 co-equal branches. But yes, the president is first among equals, and we all know the presidency in Liberia. I really, really honestly believe this president could help us resolve this matter. I mean, he's already interfering by all the things he's done, including today, appearing with this other gentleman who has been elected by the 43. So I think the solution lies in the hands of the presidency. I think this president has the power, and I'm appealing to him. How? Yeah. This is how. The president has a right to call in, first of all, beginning with his rescue lawmakers. He has it.
And
He also
we
has
couldn't call him a lawmaker. The president.
yeah, Mr. Weah is not the president anymore, Dennis.
Yeah,
I'm
but he's
talking
still out
about
control. He's still the party
I'm talking
leader.
about the URA, the pomp and pageantry associated with the sitting president. You know, he can call them in. He can also call Fonati and Richard Kun in and sit down. Even the Koga.
He called them in, but then the vice president ran his mom on talk show.
Because apparently, from what we heard, he was making impossible demands of this the speaker, Kofa. So I really think this president, you know, he would do all of us the favor, the needful, by taking up the leadership role that he's supposed to play and engage these people and resolve this matter. This is not in the interest of anything.
Thank you.
Including the country, including his presidency. I don't understand how he does not see this. Prolonging this thing is dangerous to his presidency. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, you're closing.
I know you left parables, Dennis. In the village, my old folk can tell me, those are who eat tabadu. He tells us you can't leave the gut in the rat and roast it. If you leave the gut in the rat and you roast it, you will spoil the entire food that you're cooking. And
It can get done.
That's what President Broka did today. He left the gut in the rat and he tried to roast it. I think we should be calm, like I said before, as leaders. We should be level-headed, and we should allow the investigation to go on professionally, so that this does not turn into another failed asset declaration.
Do you have faith in the investigation and that we're going to do anything with the findings?
Currently, it's politically driven. What I say, you can start hearing from tomorrow. It is politically driven. It is politically driven because all of the intentions in the direction of the president is towards the minority black, because he was seated with the majority black renegade speaker on the right-hand side at the Capitol building today. And then the U.S. ambassador was telling him, after
is not God, so it doesn't matter who says
resolve the impasse. So we mean the United States embassy is telling you the situation is not solved. We're still waiting to hear what the Supreme Court has. I think they should speed it up. I'm still waiting for LACC to say something about the capital bribery issue connected to this whole conflict, because it's important as well to deciding what's going on there. And last but not least, I want to appeal to President Broka, even though I have no faith in his leadership. Those that are around him should try the best that they can to give Liberia some consolation. There's a monumental disaster in the country. Let them restore calm by the things they say. Let them not point fingers and go after people with police state approach. And let us be able to address this as professional as we can. In 2006, when the executive mansion got burned, the fourth floor got burned, we resolved that in an investigation over 3 years. It came to 2029 before we could come up with a definitive statement as to what happened. And this is not going to be determined in 6 hours' time by Gregory Comer missed steps in his policing situation. And we've seen the police take a lot of people to court, charge people to court, and they come out of there with complete bad results. The current situation right now with Samuel Toure and others is a big example of what I'm saying.
So how do you think this whole speaker business will end based on what happened today?
For speaker business to end?
How will it end?
It cannot end. President Broka is stubborn. President Broka is unrelenting in his decision to get at Kofa from the very inception of Kofa's speakership. He bent at Speaker Kofa's neck with the bribery and the Supreme Court issues and everything to get him off the ticket. He couldn't work, and now he's trying to get it from the back door. And this is bad for our country. President Broka should listen to the Liberian people. The popular will of the people is what should prevail at this time. Let the law be the law. Let respect our constitution and go by constitutional governance.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson said it will not end, but I don't believe that. No fruit can remain up there. Either somebody pick it or you get rotten for them. Mr. Gaiman, let's conclude. Let's be forward looking here.
To be honest with you, I try to look through the crystal ball, and I see like an unending black hole, a land where the Supreme Court cannot be respected. I see nothing good. I can tell you, based on my own political experience and my long life of living, I can tell you this is a prelude to 2029.
Jimmy older than you, man.
Yeah, I know. When the ruling party declared herself the winner, Where do you think we go for redress? Usually the Supreme Court. When I will say this again, when Bronsky and Boyka and Cummings took their complaint to the Supreme Court, it was the Supreme Court that ruled, and Bronsky came on here and said, I am a member of the court. The Supreme Court, the final arbiter of law, has agreed that we won the elections. That was the rule of law. Today, Joseph Boyka is saying the men who were part of that ruling is saying today that the Supreme Court doesn't exist. And I also want to blame the Supreme Court. The speaker had asked for a bill of information. Why is it taking so long? Why? So my look at it, it just doesn't look good.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have spoken with a lot of lawyers. Clearly, according to the law, this is a political issue, and that's why the Supreme Court cannot be definitive in saying you're wrong or you're right. It's a political question. The Constitution did not say where they should meet. So whether they are meeting in the joint chambers or and they have a quorum, they can go ahead and make the decision. Mr. Kofa was selected by his colleagues. Over half of those colleagues came up and said, we don't want you anymore. According to the lawyers, and I want to agree with them, Mr. Kofa should just call it quit because he no longer has the authority to lead.
Half or one term.
So you disagree with the constitutional processes?
What's the process?
2/3.
2/3.
Yeah, they had a 2/3 in their chambers.
No, they don't. They have 44.
No, they had the 2/3. They signed the resolution because
no. You heard Thomas Fala say 44 has agreed. That's what he said. It was Thomas Fala that swore him in, and that's not even the process.
Exactly.
Then you have the resolution.
Mr. Billington said this. I want people to come back to focus on Liberia when what Billington said. He said, if this works, I am ready to get my 37 when something go wrong.
It's unfortunate, but that's just how it is.
Yeah. Do we have a copy of the resolution of the 49 votes? Then it's
how many copies of the thing they pass that you have? You even
no, but you cannot assume that they have 49 when you don't have a copy of verified.
When they came out, that's what they said. They said we have 49.
Where is it? Have we seen it?
Have you seen any law they passed that become law? Have you seen any copy?
Yes.
So what I'm talking about is that's their rule.
So Dennis, are you seeing something as crucial as this at the level of Supreme Court? We don't have document to show that this happened. That what you trying to say on this show, Dennis?
At the which Supreme
this case, as crucial as it is nationally, at the level of the Supreme Court, sitting at the level of Supreme Court, are you seeing when the guy say we did have for the 9 signatures? You don't want to see copy of that signature?
I have not seen copy of a lot of things that they have done.
No, they don't have it, Dennis. Thank you.
Yeah, I have not seen any copy. So they came up, they said, we have the vote. Because I read their laws. They didn't even say vote. They say resolution. And for Nati, that's the thing with us, right? We get in power. We want to enjoy the largesse of the corrupt system, and we don't do anything to change it. Yeah. I mean, the laws were written maybe 10 years ago, and they're still there as is. Okay. Yeah. Even when I went to ask for those, nobody could show me. I finally got them from a representative. The House rules, they don't even have it. And what Kofa was thinking, he's thinking he was going to rule. I mean, he's saying Alex Tyler got booted out. He saw Snow got booted out from those same rules. Wouldn't that be the first thing you do to tighten those rules and make sure they are clear? And he went there, he was having kumbaya, he went room, he went to a Pope. After all, his prince, he lost confidence, and if he had to go, let him go. He can't hold everybody hostage. Jimmy, you're closing.
Yeah, I will close with one African parable.
Yeah. Then you got competition. Let's do it.
So when the river dries up, it is not because the sun hates the river. It's because the sun has taken too much. The confidence of the people is all you have.
Yeah.
And once you lose that, you have to find your way. And I'll leave it right that way.
Joseph Boakai, you listening?
Mohammed, you're closing.
Yeah. Yes, Jimmy, the confidence of the people. If this is reference to Speaker Kofa, I would say to you that in Liberia, what the executive has done consistently, Boakai learned from the past, is you buy off, you purchase these gutless, unprincipled-minded individuals who go in there, they don't make laws, they're collecting millions and millions of dollars. They are millionaires. So I don't care about that building. That building can burn. My early contact with that building, I was a student. I went in there specifically to boo Moniba, which we did. So that building can burn. That building is nothing. The Liberian democracy is what should be upheld. If they meet in a palaver hut, if they can make good laws, that's what that matters. These people have the best buildings in the world. They have the best cars in the world. They have the best, they're wealthy. They have the best of everything. Every 2 years, they're in new vehicles. Like, who are these people? Who are these people that they're not making laws? 1986, they have not changed anything. They've not made any substantial laws, like Dennis was saying. Who are these people that we're talking about right here that have not done anything? So when you hear me say rotten democracy, I put the three systems under the microscope. So this is not just the legislators, it's also the executive, it's also the court system, right? The judiciary system. So the fact that we haven't gone beyond this militarized, this was influenced by the military ruler, the military junta. This law was influenced by the military junta. And this is what we still have. This is what we still rely on. You got senators ruling for senators sitting there for 9 years, representatives sitting for 6 years, president 6 years. In the past, Jimmy, as we've all read history, it was every 2 years.
Yeah, for representative, 4 years for senator.
And Jimmy, the people used to walk with the ballots. They used to take the ballots, from the hinterland. They would bring the ballots to Monrovia. They would walk. And those were fair elections. I'm not saying they were perfect because, certain half of the population was excluded, but they were fair election. In fact, there was one election, I forgot what year, went into the House of Representatives to decide, can you today throw an election into this House of Representatives to decide? You cannot. We still have laws from the military era. This is this constitution was influenced by the military junta of the 80s, and we still have it. Again, rotten democracy. Every time you pray to get a leader, a new leader will come over. George Weah didn't talk to us at all. He didn't hold major conferences. He didn't do anything. No big, things that he's discussing with the nation. Joseph Boakai comes right along and follows in the path of George Weah. Even worse, he's not even saying anything. He doesn't say anything. They said that's the chieftaincy mentality. But I'll tell you what, when you run for president, you're running for all of us. You're there for all of us. Communication is essential. And that's not even happening. Your country is burning and you don't say anything and you pass around and you come in the next morning and you call people hooligans and stuff like that. This is despicable. The Liberian people should be outraged. And I don't care what the Unity Party diehard, Unity partisans say tonight. I don't care. I don't care about that building. I don't care about anything. Do the right thing. Uphold our democracy. That's what I care about.
Thank you. My very good friend, Mr. David Julu. Julu means Sasewo. He said, I'm disappointed in you, Dennis. Funati is the one that wants to bring a change. And I tell you, you can't drink Sasewu on this one because Funati was there. He used 7 million on top of his budget that's not accounted for. He was part of those who impeached Kabina Jane. In fact, he was a convicted felon from the United States. Went there. He shouldn't have even been lawmaker in the first place. And only when he was caught, that's the time he said, "Oh, go to this room. We go there." I mean, why now? Why now, Funati? If you can, I mean, if you can, just sit down and shut up. But I can't believe the Funati story because Funati is not in our interest. Kungo is not in our interest. Everybody wants to steal and get money while the rest of the people suffer. I mean, normal days, what we call normal day, representatives were making $300.
Thank you.
How many
$300?
And why would you go back to that?
And it's so attractive. I mean, how can Foko? I saw him just walking behind Young Blood today. I mean, with no sweat, he's making whopping more than 6 figures. And you expect him to behave like a sound person?
The man's an elected official. Get a man chance, man. The man's an elected official.
Mr. Salif, you're close. I mean, here we are. I mean, those of us that did everything by the book and went to school became like the cream of the country at a very young age. Now these people, some call them the Zogos in suit, have taken over. And they build their defense. They build their penalty box. You can penetrate it. And they are there excluding and ostracizing well-meaning patriotic Liberians so that they can be there and steal. and just be stealing with their guts and abuse little children. We, set them up above ourselves, and we have to bow down to worship them before we eat. Even we have to offer our little boys and our little girls to them so that they can still continue to enrich whatever medicine part they are using. Shame on them. And they burn down the building because they want power, they want wealth. This is despicable, and we must condemn it with everything inside of. I hate this with all my 5 senses. It's wrong. Mr. Salif, you're closing, sir.
How else can I follow that, Dennis? Listen, to be honest with you, I am not at my best today. My spirit is really down. Since this morning I woke up, I saw the Capitol building in flame. The symbol of it, it's the symbol of our state, the nation state, Liberia. Mr. Sheriff, I get where you're going. You're speaking to institutionalism, but that building, the executive mansion, the Capitol building, those are the ceremonial symbols of the state, of the authority. If that burns down, that should mean something. Yes, and I agree that so many people's houses are burning around the country, particularly in Monrovia and its environs. All of that to me is as a result of failure, misrule, and how these people we are talking about have conducted themselves, have neglected the state. It's really the result of it. Because why other countries are not burning like that? The people's house, people are not burning in their homes. Citizens go to bed. Somebody has to have electricity, some power to charge their phones, and either they die carbon monoxide poisoning, or they're locked up in their own home as if they're in prison. They die in there, in an inferno. That's what's happening in Liberia. Yesterday, right across from Cathedral School adjacent to us, somebody's house was burning. They said, "Oh yeah, there's even no system to call the fire service." This Facebook TV, people yelling, "Fire service! If you're watching, yeah, please come." Fire service comes. The truck, either the person doesn't know how to operate it, or it's dysfunctional. They're standing there, the fire engine is sitting there. People's homes are burning down.
You have to go get the water in, I think, sink or somewhere.
Yeah, they can go water in sink. Then they say you're sent for LPRC fire truck because this one is the man trying his best. The man doing everything. If trying to figure something out. Meanwhile, the fire is burning. The building is burning. It's in flames. That is the state of affairs we're talking about in the country. And the people who were just walking around yesterday, they're millionaires today, sitting in that very building that's burned down. That has to tell us something. It has to tell us something. You know, like we're driving ourselves to the base of nothingness. That is the real issue here. Where's the vision to extricate ourselves? How do we even, the mindset of the people? These are our leaders who are sitting there, particularly in that legislature, and how things happen there. I get it. The executive, yes, it's all one government, the government of the Republic of Liberia. That's why it is. I get that. But the way the system is set up, a lot of time we've seen dysfunction and misrule come from that house, that legislature. It has to be fixed. So, you know, when that happened today, I felt really sorry for us, for Liberia. All day, my spirit has been down. I don't know. How did we get here? How do we get out of here? So going forward, I don't have anything. I don't have a crystal ball to look into, Dennis, to, you know, try to predict.
You're looking there, but it looks gloomy.
Yes, it is. I mean, because it's just the reality of it, really. I mean, how do you resolve a political dispute where one person says, I'm for the law, I'm on the side of the law, when you're not able to keep your caucus and your conference, the legislature, your colleagues on your side? It's really, you may be right legally, but majority of these people have voted no confidence in you. It's really a political negotiation that they win their confidence and trust and bring them on your side. If you're unable to do that, and if you are a patriotic citizen, you care about the state beyond yourself, the right thing to do is say, look, I thought I could do this and they don't want me to do it. I step aside or remain representative of my district. Let the state function, let people move forward. That is what should happen. For, you know, I think that's where I see the executive trying to say, look, we got to run a government here, and this is the majority group, and, you know, we got to find some kind of resolution, right or wrong. Perhaps that's where they're going in that direction. We're the ones who are advocating for rule of law, for justice, and for human rights. But in the political theater, anywhere around the world, you see politics like that play out in a democracy, and people do the right things because they have moral standards, they have principles and values, they have something that's bigger than themselves, the state, the people who are within it. We lack that, sadly, and so I may be pontificating here, Dennis, but I just don't have anything to give you going forward. I hope it can change. I wish the circumstances were better. Liberia was moving in the right trajectory, but unfortunately, it is not.
Thank you. Join us tomorrow for Tough Talking Thursday, where we're going to be tougher. And I'm going to come tough, if not tougher. Thank you, gentlemen. And then Glendy was here. She left earlier. Say thank you. Also, J. Victor Nambi. At this time, we're going to close with our song that says, we are all Liberians. Whether we agree that, you know, whoever is responsible for the burning, you want to put it at the president's feet, or you want to grab Sarfoko and give him 25 lashes, whatever you want to do, we are all Liberians. Have a good night, and God bless you.
Good night.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our